Moving on, I would like to talk about manufacturing facilities. Uh, Manufacturing facilities are something that, again, combat is not the focus of No Man's Sky, but it's one of those things that draws in the attention of people who like to fight in the game. I have a friend that I've played with a couple times. He's actually one of my coworkers. Uh, Fighting is one of his favorite things in No Man's Sky. He will sit there forever and take on waves, and he loves the idea of breaking into these manufacturing facilities and fighting all of the uh, sentinels. Uh, but I also know that some players don't want to fight things. And now, with the introduction of this, what do you call it? The introduction of the new terminal in the space anomaly where you can just buy all of these recipes that originally you would have to break into the manufacturing facilities to get. Not a lot of players really feel the need to interact with manufacturing facilities, and the few people who do only do it to fight the Sentinels. So I came up with a few ideas that could further expand on this.
Okay.
Uh, First of all, to bring back a use for these manufacturing facilities is I would like to see a lot of the more valuable blueprints and recipes, things that have a certain importance in the game, like things like the resource extractors, the medium and large refiners, the survey device, uh, certain things like that, things that are useful for manufacturing or resource gathering for bases, things that are industrial in nature or related to it, should be removed they should be not easily accessible. Oh, I would also like to add the exocraft stations, barring the roamer. The roamer should be easily accessible, like to players. It should be the one that players can easily access and get the resources for. But as for the others, I think those, along with things like the resource extractors, survey device, the larger refiners, uh, those things, along with the more valuable recipes for products and things like the stasis device, iridescite, all those should be removed for easy purchase and exclusively brought to the manufacturing facilities. Now, I'm sure you're obviously thinking like what I'm thinking, which is the issue of some players don't want to fight. They don't want to get into combat, and some do. My way of addressing this is, rather than forcing players to only have the option of breaking in, I think players should also be given the option to find the factory override units via other methods like Nexus missions, or maybe you get it as a reward from completing certain missions, or maybe you can find them out in the world randomly,
Well,
but there's a low
you
chance.
you do. You can get factory override units from Nexus missions. I've gotten a few. I've never tried
Yes.
using them to see if they actually let you
Uh,
access it
I
without the puzzle. Have you?
uh, yes. They do allow you to access it without the puzzle.
Oh, cool.
Well, I'm sorry. No, no, no. They don't. They don't allow you to access it without the puzzle. All they do is once you do solve the puzzle, you can use your additional factory override unit to get another recipe
Oh, okay.
without having to do it again. But
I see.
what I would like to see is rather than rather than using that extra override unit to just get another recipe, maybe the override unit could be used to access the facility without alerting the sentinels. Maybe you could walk up to the door and input the override, and the doors would open without alerting the sentinels. You would still, of course, the issue with this would be, well, now once you get in there, the whole point of breaking in is you break in and then you have to solve the puzzle thing. Uh, there would need to be some other element to give players that choose this option more interaction once they're in there. But I feel like it would really encourage players to interact more with the manufacturing facilities if we put these extremely valuable assets exclusively there and then gave players multiple options to approach these manufacturing facilities to get these valuable resources.
Yeah. Yeah. Changing a lot of different purposes of buildings would really be nice so that you actually have a reason to go to buildings again. Um, because there is actually a useful purpose for them.
Uh, are there any ideas that you have for? 'Cause I've realized now that I've been putting out all of my ideas. I would love to hear some of your ideas for anything, any way to repurpose things. I guess to like narrow it down right now, buildings, things that
Yeah.
we never use.
Well, right now, the whole time since we've been discussing this particular topic, I've been at one of these giant buildings that were added into the game. Um, yeah, it would definitely be nice if we had more purposes for them. Right now, I'm trying to climb up the thing, and it doesn't seem to be designed to ever climb all the way up. I know you can get up to the top some ways, but um, it's sad that, the only purpose for it is way down at the bottom of it, and all this upper section has no purpose. And the particular building that I'm at, if you go down to the bottom, it looks like it has thrusters as if the building is actually a spaceship that has landed. I mean, it doesn't look anything like a freighter, but it looks like a rocket ship that could potentially take off. Um, I don't expect them to make them actually take off or anything, but still, it would be nice if there were more purposes. I've talked about maybe these becoming dungeons. There's plenty of space inside them with how big they are that they could have an entrance to a dungeon area in it, and this could be one of the new types of dungeons. Is you'd go up and instead of just having the lore computer, also have some kind of door that would lead up into the building and let you explore a procedural dungeon up in there, and it would get you rewards and maybe additional lore and cool items and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I really wish they would have done more with the giant buildings besides just having it basically be a glorified trade terminal, which we already had, with
When you say
a
giant buildings, are which giant building are you referring to the archives?
yes, the archives.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
was just at one of those too.
yeah, that's what I call the new giant buildings or the archives that they're the biggest building in the game, but they don't have any other purpose besides being like a trade platform and a little bit of new lore on the inside. I wish we could go up inside them and have it be like a dungeon or something. I don't know.
Addressing that, I had addressed those previously. A good use for those would be if they remove the option to find ruins, monoliths, and portals through the planetary charts. have it exclusively through the archives, which would give players more of a reason to go there. And I think another neat thing that you could do with archives is perhaps the higher what's the word I'm looking for? Perhaps if you have a higher standing for the race that that archive belongs to, or what could be better is maybe having it more focused on the Explorers Guild. If you have a higher Explorers Guild rank, the resources that you get from turning in artifacts, like the things that you get in exchange for turning in artifacts, could have a higher chance of being more and more valuable the higher rank you are in the Explorers Guild.
Right. And I just used the planetary chart machine that I think you're referring to at this giant building, that allows you to go to ancient ruins and stuff to demonstrate what you were talking about.
Uh, Another type of building, like I really want to focus on the buildings right now because those are also one of those things that I feel like players interact with a decent amount when they first start the game, but then quickly stop caring about.
Uh-huh.
I would like to talk about trading outposts. Uh, my initial idea for trading outposts is I would like to see purchasable resources from the space station. I would like to have those resources be extremely limited and maybe raise the prices not by a lot, but a decent amount, enough to encourage players to not focus on trading in the space station so much, but encourage players to go look for and visit these trading outposts because that's what they're for. You would be able to go to trading outposts and have a much wider variety of attainable resources that you could purchase for an even better price than you would get at the space station. That's just my initial idea for bringing players' attention back to trading outposts because the way it sits right now, the only time that I ever go to trading outposts is whenever I have a mission that specifically requires me to go to one to turn in something or to speak to an NPC. But other than that, I don't really do much trading at trading outposts. I would like to see them rework the trading in the game so that the posts that are specifically made for trading have a lot more reason to trade at them.
Yep. Yep. We need there's a lot of NPCs at the trade, both the giant buildings and the trade platforms. There are a lot of NPCs, and they could give those NPCs more purpose. I think there's a few new conversations that you can have with NPCs at the archives, but it'd be nice if they could like give us quests and stuff. I can't remember if it was you and I that discussed this or somebody else, but maybe get rid of the procedural mission system in space stations and instead make it so that we need to seek out NPCs on planets in order to get procedural missions from them to complete on whatever planet that we talk to them on.
I don't think that was. I don't think that was us that talked about that, but I have actually thought a lot about that. Removing, uh, removing the. Is that another archive? Wow, I'm just back to back coming across archives now. But no, I agree. We should add. They should absolutely remove the mission, the easy, quick mission access through the space station, and have that be more focused on NPCs. And Or maybe if they didn't want to completely remove that asset from the game, maybe have it where perhaps finding an NPC and interacting with them would give players a mission, and accomplishing missions through NPCs would give you better rewards and yield you double the standing for accomplishing them.
Yeah. And
Perhaps it could even give you valuable technologies that could be used for crafting, like we were talking about earlier.
yeah, and maybe to make sure that things don't get messed up, you could start missions at NPCs on planets, and then maybe you could turn in the mission at the space station. That way, you don't lose track of the NPC that you need to turn the mission into and such, just to ensure that you're always able to complete your missions.
That is actually a really good idea. I like that a lot because it not only makes the NPCs interacting with them more valuable, but it also doesn't make that entire turn. Because if we were to do it the way I said, the that terminal would be completely useless now, and they would need to find a new purpose for it, or just straight up remove it from the game. You would kind of keep players, force players to keep track. Because what happens if you complete a mission? Like, what happens if you're in the middle of a mission and you forget? You forget, you're not keeping track, and you go through a black hole or something. How do you get back to turn in your mission? I think you're right. Giving players the option to get the mission from NPCs, but turn the mission in to the mission NPC in the space station is a much more efficient way of doing it.
Special thanks to my monthly supporters: Shell Owens, JSpot51, Shannon and Jeremy, Marquis BS, Meg Payton, Renee McLeod. It's friends like you that motivate me to keep creating.